Hi guys, welcome back to another P3D version 5 video. Today we'll be covering a bit of a different aircraft, not one of the most common types ever created, or the most common aircraft ever created, and that's the VC10, the Vickers. Let me see, I think it's the Vickers 10. That's the name of it. Well, let me double check. So the Vickers VC10, yeah, or Vickers Armstrong, and it was created I think in 1960s, 1962. There were only like 50 of them built, so quite a rare aircraft. And I think it was the fastest. I think they had like the record for the fastest transatlantic crossing for like 41 years with it. And I mean, it is a fast aircraft. You can see 4 engines at the tail, so a bit like the IL-62. And yeah, kind of, swept wing and stuff, makes it look a bit fast, and it's probably aerodynamically fast. So yeah, this is the Just Flight VC10 version. This is not the professional version, so that's something I want to reiterate. The professional version, I never got that, and for P3 version 5, this is the only version that actually works. And I've heard that the professional version even has some problems in P3 version 4 and stuff, so I never got that. There's some coding issues. This one does though have most of the same things, apart from the Siva ins, which doesn't work in P3 version 5 anyway. But you can, of course, I think, integrate the Simufly Siva ins. I haven't done that yet, but that's an option. In terms of the outside, it looks pretty good. I mean, it's not PBR, but it's you can definitely see it's not like an early model. I think it was released 2017, 2018. So it's not a super old aircraft in the flight sim world. You can see you have some of the pilots from the exterior, all 4 of them moving things about, looking pretty decent. You have some of the interior, but the cabin is kind of empty. You can see there's like just a tiny bit of space, so it's mainly just to have some sort of 3D effect. From the inside, it's pretty decent actually. I kind of like it. It's definitely better, for example, than I think the DC-8. I think the professional version had some further upgrades, maybe even a weather radar, but don't quote me on that. The weather radar here is unfortunately inoperable, but you can add a third-party one. I just haven't done that yet, but I'll probably do at some point. Probably add the Roland gauge. There's no cabin, unfortunately, so that's a bit sad. But you do have some of the wings. Some of the wings are actually modeled in the interior model, and then I think some of the front of the aircraft is also, but not in the best way, right? You have that black thing sticking out. But yeah, let's jump to the outside again. Pretty decent. Pretty decent, I would say. In the hall of very good / very good, I would say. And the system depth is also okay. Nothing compared to, of course, the Field 747. That's an amazing aircraft in terms of system depth. But we are here at Damascus Airport, OSDI, flying to Eliat, LLER, in Israel. This is probably not a flight that would take place in real life with a Gulf Air, but there's unfortunately not that many liveries for this. It's like Gulf Air, Nigerian, and BOAC, and British Airways. I mean, there were only 50 of these built, right? So unfortunately there's not that many livery, and specifically for the standard. The professional one might have some more liveries available online. I'm pretty sure though there's a paint kit, and I think so at least. But yeah, it is a so it's a bit in that sense maybe not for everyone, because you don't have that livery availability. But it's okay. In terms of payware, freeware, we do have photoreal for the countries on our route: Israel, Syria, Jordania, might see some of Lebanon as well. And then we have this nice freeware airport for Damascus. Took a bit of tweaking. It's not perfect, but you know, you see you have quite a bit of buildings. This area looks pretty good. You have the runways, so I would say this is a very good freeware. Even looks like there's some sort of interior, but in 2D. So that's pretty cool. You can see the passengers here on in the windows as well. So pretty good. No GSX jetways though, so I just parked mine, so it looks like we're getting that that GSX. I'm gonna open the door actually, so we have that ready. Not sure about the GSX integration. Let's see. You do though have the potentiality to kind of get a bit like GSX. Like you have these. Let me see if I can show you. I'll go to Just Flight, toggle ground equipment, like that. So kind of fulfills the same purpose. Well, let me remove that for now. We're flying to LLER. That's also a freeware product. Really high quality though. So that one I would say is very nice. Also one of the better ones. I guess in the same way such as this one. I mean the airport there isn't as complex, right? So it's a good one. But hopefully you'll enjoy this flight. We'll be flying VORs. And yeah, let's get to it. We'll start with doing the GSX just to see if we have any profile. And we do seem to have a profile for for this aircraft, so that's really nice to see. Let's see if this one goes through here and then sets up by the door, and it does look like it does. So that's good to see. I would probably then not have parked here and use maybe one of these other parking spots that don't have a jetway, but that's nice to see at least have some GSX support. Let me see, do we have... I think we do have sound. It's just very quiet in the sim. Okay, so to get started we have a sim brief flight plan, and well, that's I guess one of the things is that you will have to do it through the sim menu for the fuel and payload, so that's a bit sad, but we can just check quickly. Block fuel, we should have 34,000 pounds, and zero fuel weight or takeoff weight should be 222. So if you do block weight first, and let me just move this to my 3D or my touch screen so I can look at that at the same time. I'm not sure how good the fuel management is implemented on this, because I'm not or I haven't really flown this one a lot, just because, you know, it's not like, for example, the feel is, which is a bit more fun because of the system depth, but it's a good aircraft. Let me see, maybe we can go down to 40. That one can probably do 35, 35, and 40. Okay, we're at 55, we should still be down quite a bit, so let's go down to 35. And let's do 30, 25, 30, 25, 30, oh sorry, 25, 30. Okay, that's good. We'll do 7,000 extra pounds. Our gross weight is 222, which is kind of aligned with our takeoff weight. We have a bit more fuel. There's no performance calculator similar, so it should do. Let me just check that all my sounds are set up properly. Yes, speakers, that's good. And then the way we can start this one, I'm actually also gonna open up the... I'm gonna move this one quickly and see if I can find, because I just want to make sure that we don't miss any steps. They have a pretty good manual. Let me quickly show it to you. So a pretty good one. 60, 76, sorry, 76 pages long. So it's not a huge manual, but it's a sufficiently large one. And let me just find, I'm gonna move this away. It's a bit slow to load though, I guess it's because of all the pictures in it. I'm just gonna find where we have all the start, so I do that correctly. I do remember most things. For example, the batteries, that's these switches. So you do norm and power on. We can give okay, so some are inoperable, like the galley switches here. The professional one has a bit more in-depth in terms of these. Sorry, we lost the sound there. It's just because I'm scrolling out, so we can see it. And then let me see it to normal position. Yes, I think you can double check it's working by going to battery here, seeing the DC volts. We can actually start the boarding just before we go any further. Our ICAO is OSDI to LLER. We're flying that as our flight number. Cruising altitude of 34,000 feet. Let's do 2 and 25 just to make sure. I don't think we have the VC10 here. Do we have anything else with 4 engines at the back? No substitute in that regard. We'll use the big 727. We'll do 73 passengers and boarding music. Not sure we have anything for Gulf Air. Looks a bit empty in that regard. We can just use Middle Eastern Airlines. Close enough, I guess. And then we do have, I think, a safety for Gulf Air here. So we can start that, and we'll start the the boarding as well. I'll do 70 passengers. I will do crew. And then we are gonna do the hydraulic one, which isn't that hard either. It's just open, normal. Basically starting all of these switches, putting them up to the up position. And then also the generators, actually we should have done that before, but don't think it makes too much of a difference. So these ones, my feeling is that you wouldn't put these to normals unless, like in real life, once you've started the engines right. So you actually have something for these generators, but this is a simplified, it's not a light model I would say, but it's a kind of the same fidelity as the DC-10, which I flew a bit earlier. I think we are supposed to put that on ground, then you get these. So now we have a jetway to stairs. I mean, yeah, just everything, everything that we need. Let me open all of these for the cargo as well. So it does seem like we have a GSX profile, but it's not the best to be truthful. I'm actually not gonna use that, so at least get a bit less. I need to fix the GSS profile for this one. You also notice in all the airplane because they don't have any sharklets or winglets or similar, so that's always a good way to see it. Okay, overhead panel. The first things first, we should do the nav lights. Fasten seat belts and no smoking. And then, apart from that, I think this stall indication should be on 1. I'm not sure how many switches work in terms of testing. We can have a look quickly. Let me see, do we have any test switches? maybe here at the engineer panel, right? They would usually have some of them. I'm trying to think with engine, maybe like the fire. Okay, these seems to move, but do we have any fire test? Nothing that seems to work there. Emergency lights. That's an unmovable switch. You can see there's some unmovable, but you know, it's not the end of the world, right? It's usually kind of things you do before you get the plane going. If it's just moving switches without any actual system implications, then you could also, I guess, use the argument that what's the reason for implementing that. You can remove the yoke, which I'll do. You have a switch here, RM yoke. Doesn't exist in real aircraft, but it's just so you can better see these. And I mean, you have your own steering wheel in front of you, right? Your own yoke or joystick on the side, so should suffice. In terms of our flight plan, we have a first direct to DAM, which is not that which is very close by actually. So let me just update this. I don't think we need to be a heavy. Could be that we should, but I'll show you Prepar3d. We'll do a flight plan import so you can see our route in a more good way. This is the route. First DAM or DM. First VR. DAM is the waypoint. The first VR, the first waypoint on our journey is a DAM. And we'll be flying from runway 5 right, which is, so we'll be taking off this runway, but I'm wondering if I should change that just to get rid of the DAM. So let's take off maybe from runway 23 instead. 23 left. We have a shorter taxi route as well, and I don't think there was too much of a wind. So like that, 23, and we'll be landing at ALAT runway 1 left. Let's make sure it's, so that's 19, then 1 left is this one. Let me have a look at the weather before we decide on that one. I'll move this away, we don't need to look at it. Oh, we're really bouncing the aircraft. Is it because people are boarding? Not sure what's going on. Oh yeah, sorry, not GSX. We needed this one. So 23 should be fine. Such a low wind anyway. A bit of a crosswind, but nothing too bad. Here it's a bit harder, so here I think we actually do need to do that just to make safe, so that will be a bit of a different approach. We'll do runway 1, we can do an ILS, and I'll load that. We can skip the first waypoint then, because we are just gonna go through it. Let's see if we can use the Logitech multi-panel. So yeah, we can use that for a course. We'll be tracking 197. So we have to switch that a bit. 197. No, sorry, we're doing Aman first. So that's 189. 197 is the RAM VOR at ALAT. So 189 with a VOR, and we can see it here. The channel with one that's 163. So let's see. It looks like it's changing, so that's good. And now we have that. Now I guess the main question is if it's working. Do we have any like sort of DME or something that we can see what distance we have to it? We might not have that. Oh, there we go, DME. So we should be getting that. Let's see once we're airborne and start flying that that heading. We'll be tracking 214 for the departure, so we can put that in also here. 214, moving into the Logitech multi panel. We'll be turning a bit to the left 214. Good. We can connect to the sim and file our flight plan. Let me just check. Oh, no transition selected. I'm just gonna do a vector. I'll file it again for the approach. Let me just switch so we can have the ground. Gulf 4003, ready to copy IFR clearance.
Gulf
6,000 feet. And this is one thing I've been wondering about. Is there anywhere that you can kind of put in your altitude, right? Some of these older ones, they should have like, so you know what you're aiming for. It's not the end of the world if you don't have it, but I do find it helpful. Oh, we're going a bit too high. Seeing the texture behind all the fake world that we are operating in, at least this aircraft is operating in. Yeah, I can't see anything in terms of altitude to set. One good thing to mention, we do have an auto throttle. This was one of the first aircrafts that did have that, if I'm not mistaken on that point. But I think it's correct because it was built in 1962, so quite an early auto throttle. Pretty nice system anyway with these knobs and stuff. Works quite well, so that's nice to see. And yeah, I think we're ready. We're now just gonna wait for the people to board, and then we can get going. And I'm actually just quickly gonna pause the sim here, and I'll be right. I'm gonna pause the recording as well. You won't notice any difference, but I'm just gonna do something quickly. Okay, there we go. It's Halloween, as you all know, coming up soon, so gotta get everything ready for that. But okay, we can continue now. We can put on the beacon light, which should be here. There we go, a beacon. And then what we can do is you actually need to connect. You need to connect the toggle ground air supply, so we do that. You have this little tab on add-ons where you can also put cold and dark and that sort of stuff, so we'll toggle ground air supply. Let's see if there's anything that shows. I don't think there's anything that shows kind of in-game. So I guess that's a bit of a bummer. We can close all of these extra doors. Boarding is completed anyway. We'll close the doors, so they should disconnect. Since I don't think GSX has a built-in one, we'll start without that. Let me just check. I don't think we'll put squawk.
Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome aboard. Our flight time will be roughly 2 hours.
Let me see.
And 25 minutes.
Gulf 4003, ready for pushback.
Mode and your large devices are now shut down and stowed. Please fasten your seatbelt and make sure that all tray tables,
Pushback approved. Okay, so that's really nice to see. Let's check the altimeter actually before we forget to do that. 290904. We have that set. We have like an, yeah, here looks to be the same. Yeah, they are tied as well, so if we tweak this one, we'll tweak that one, which I guess is nice in a sense. Not sure why we're bouncing a bit at this airport. Is it because we're Trying to think if there's something with the, maybe it's the layering of this airport, you know, maybe the, I don't know, we shall see. Hope it should be fine. But yeah, starting the engines, that's our next step. We'll start engine number 3 and then we'll do pushback and start the rest of the engines because we don't need the ground. We'll open this one to start off with. In terms of the manual, what we need to do, check the fuel, which is here, up here. Yeah, it looks decent. I think this panel works, so let's let's see if we run out of fuel. We'll notice that once we're in the air. So starting the engines, we have the ground power. We should do these LP switches, which are, let me see, I think they're up here. Bless myself. Let me just check. LP cock. I love the name of that switch. So this one should be open. I'm gonna open it all of them so I don't forget. And then fuel booster pumps. I'll also open that on all of them so I don't forget to do it for the rest of them after starting engine 3. And then we start. Let me just change to this. We'll do the third one up like that. The third fuel kind of lever, I think, or start lever. I think this is tied to the fuel. Unless, of course, it was the one here. Not too... I don't have too many insights in this actual systems of this one. This is the airplane. So we do that one to LP start, and then we go start with this one. These are illuminating, which means they're starting. We can see it here as well. Third engine is starting. It should take off around 20% RPM. And we are having a good engine start. And that must be engine number 3, right? You can see it spinning there in the back. I'm gonna ask... Oh, we can't ask for... because we have the engine started. Good times. I'll ask for pushback sequence with ultimate ground crew. So I'll have to be a bit quiet, since they'll react on anything I say.
Go ahead, cockpit.
Like that. We'll though disconnect the ground air now.
Go ahead, cockpit. Ground to flight deck.
Go ahead. A bit of a tiny tug. Should have changed that. Go ahead.
Communication check, please, and confirm that the brakes are set.
Parking brakes set. Brakes are set.
Thanks.
We are ready for pushback and engine start facing southeast.
Roger. Facing southeast. Release brakes.
Parking brakes released.
Pushing back.
Let's see how this goes.
Pushing back.
It seems to work. Let's start the rest of the engines. Number 4. Now I need to put this to full forward. Number 4 is a go. I'm also gonna set the trim.
You are clear behind, and you can start your engines at your discretion.
That should be sufficient. Thank you. I've already started them, or started starting them anyway, so. Stabilized. Starting engine 2. close the lock here, the lead lid. Almost thought the window was open, but it's just the wiper. Not sure if they are workable. Should have a look. Okay. Engine 2 is stabilized. Starting engine 1.
Go ahead, cockpit.
Okay. As you can see, it's quite a roomy cockpit though. It's not too tiny.
Clear,
Nice
2.
windows. And engine 1 is starting. And now you can see we have all our engines going strong. I'm gonna ask him to stop here.
Go ahead, flight deck. Pushback complete. Set parking brakes, please.
Parking brakes set.
Roger.
Shut these. We don't have them on start. Off. Close the lid. The lid. That should be it. No APU to close.
Okay, the tow bar is disconnected and the equipment is clear.
Clear to disconnect.
Roger. Have a nice flight.
The cabin is ready for takeoff.
And I'm just gonna kill their operations because they are otherwise gonna be listening in and saying stuff, so still hear my voice, so that's easier. So there we go. Pretty nice and works quite well. So this is why you want this version, not the professional, because you won't be able to start the engines. At least the ones I've seen videos on forums, they have said such. I mean, you feel free to try. Maybe you could combine this cockpit with that one for the exterior model, right? And then you could have some more liveries, right? Let me see. Flaps should be on takeoff position, which is, so you can see slats and flaps. I think it's around 20, or is it 14 maybe? Let's see if we have 14 as an option. No, it goes to 20. What are the flap settings on this one? We have take up, take off, approach, and out. Landing, okay. So that's pretty good. Pretty easy to remember. We should put on the taxi lights, and the way you do that is you go here, you flip these ones down instead of up, then you extend those. We'll do the runway turn of lights as well, put them on. Do we have any sort of strobe or similar, or anti-collision lights? No, doesn't look like that. We have some floodlights for the interior. Looks like the wipers are working, that's nice. No rain effects though, at least to my knowledge. Okay, good. We'll release the parking brakes. Golf 4003, ready for taxi. No, not the engine start, taxi.
4003.
Golf 4003, ready to taxi.
Golf 4003 taxi to runway 3 left via taxiways Alpha, Juliet. Hold short runway 23 left.
Okay, so we should
Taxi
just
to
basically
runway 23
follow
left
this
via
and then
taxiways Alpha, Juliet.
get out.
Short runway 23 left.
I'm gonna
Golf
start
4003.
pushing forward the throttles. Get us rolling down. And we are moving, it seems at least. Let's have a look if the tiller works. The tiller looks to be working pretty well. So we can get back on the yellow line since we were pushed back a bit weirdly. See, I wonder how much traffic actually Damascus have, because we don't seem to have any now. And now I'm of course using maybe the UT Live would have some of the Syrian traffic. But I mean, even that one I think was updated in 2017 or something, so I guess there wasn't a lot of traffic back here, or back in 2010s due to the Civil War, which I guess is still technically ongoing. So yeah, that's good to be aware of. And I guess we're going to another war zone in terms of going to Israel. It's a war zone safari in a way. At least we're flying a beautiful aircraft. Even though it wasn't that popular. Or I guess it was popular, but it didn't sell that well. I mean, 4 engines, maybe a bit of overkill. I think it's not even a wide body, right? It's a narrow body. Or is it a wide body? It is quite... I'm not sure actually. Let's have a look at the cabin once I get down this straight. It taxis very well. I must say it feels good to taxi this aircraft. So I'll give them some credit there for Just Flight. They've done a good job with that. And I mean our overall detecturing and stuff. This is more than enough for me. VC10 cabin. It looks like a narrow body. Now I just googled. So 3 seats on both sides. Here's the cockpit. You can see very close to what we have in the game. So that's pretty cool. With the white, small kind of narrow overhead panel. Like quite a lack of stuff on the overhead panel. What do we have here? Marker. Is it true that they only had like nothing there? Now I want to take a look again. Then we want to write cockpit, right? Yeah, it seems to have been a very empty area. Some of them does seem to have some radios and stuff there. No, so not sure. Okay, let's see if we get the hand over to the tower. I'm gonna put on the landing lights while we wait, so we have that ready. And then I'm gonna brake a bit here. Left is clear, right is clear. Don't think we have anyone coming to visit Damascus. I mean, when this aircraft was in use, I guess the Ba'ath party would have been controlling Syria, right? I guess it was during the times when, or maybe a bit earlier, or around the same time when Iraq was trying to unify the countries. Gulf 4003, ready for takeoff. 2988. Has it really changed that? Let me have a look. 2988. No, that's the right.
23 left squawking 3204. Maintain runway heading until above 3,000 feet, then proceed on course. Gulf 4003.
Okay, so I'm not really sure about the speeds and stuff. What we can do is check quickly if we have any. There, we'll climb away from runway. Okay, 155 knots is what they're suggesting in the manual. So that should be more than enough. Let me just line up here a bit better. I went a bit too far. We'll line up. With this old aircraft, I think you're supposed to get the throttling up quite a bit. And then you can release slowly. Okay. Toga, or whatever you call it, takeoff thrust. $100 knots. No call outs, so that's good to be aware of. 120 knots. 140, 150. You can see we're taking off. I'm gonna all by ourselves. I didn't even have to do anything. Okay, positive rate of climb. Gear coming up. We wanna be turning. Let me trim this one a bit. I'm also gonna cut down on the throttles a bit. We wanna be turning to 3,000, so we should be about 3,000. Okay, good. Where we're turning? 189, right? So let me trim this one. It's because we have the engines at the back, right? Oh, you can see some terrain bleeding here. So let's see now if we can set this to 245 and IIS. Climb to flight level 140.
Climbing to flight level 140.
And now we have the DME activated, you can see here.
Squawk 3204 Gulf 4003.
We're climbing. Let me trim it out a bit. We don't need the flaps, we should have retracted those long ago. The runway lights we can turn off. Oh, interesting. I think the flap retracting those changed a bit the characteristics, right? Pitching the aircraft down. Let me see. And that increased our speed by quite a bit. So 189. Let me see now if we can actually. We want to start. These are the 8 AP pilot master switches. So we can do put those. Or we have to put the damper on, then the pilot, then we do the VR. Then for climb, I think we can keep it as is. We'll probably be flying a bit differently than pilot 280 seems to have we have a bit of a discrepancy in our. You can see this one goes a bit more south, even though we should be tracking 189. So let's see how this one goes. We're losing vertical speed, so I'm. I know I'm off course.
Heading 170 Gulf 4003.
How do I increase if I put altitude?
Climb and maintain flight level 140 Gulf 4003.
Oh, wait a second.
Heading 170 Gulf 4003.
I don't feel like we're following. Oh, now we're turning to the left. Okay, so yeah, maybe it's. Okay, and we want to climb, so it's definitely not having altitude on. Because I don't have the text.
Flight level 140 Gulf 4003.
Let me have a look if we can. Can we get climbing, or is that? We are climbing. We were climbing super slow.
And maintain flight level 140 Gulf 4003.
Let me see if I increase the speed a bit. it's increasing, but so slowly, this vertical speed. We are supposedly following the localizer. Just seems like we're ping-ponging a bit. We're still climbing super slow. It is though increasing slowly, so we do seem to be climbing. But look at the surroundings, beautiful. I guess we are now over Jordania? Or are we still in southern Syria? So we're almost at 1000. Let me see if there's anything specific about the vertical speed that I'm not forgetting. Okay, so vertical. Okay, so if man mode is selected. The datum adjuster.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have now passed 10,000 feet. You may now turn on your larger portable electronic
Let me
devices.
try that
This is also a
actually.
reminder to please use your seatbelt fasten while you're seated and do not congregate in the galleys or near the
This
lavatory.
datum adjuster might be the thing. So let's see now. We're on altitude hold, but we want to go to 13,000, right? Was that the climb maintain flight level 140? 140. And now we can increase the vertical speed here. So, but okay, so the datum adjuster, I'm looking at my Logitech panel because it interprets it in a way. So the datum adjuster tells us what altitude we'll be flying, whilst this one does the vertical speed. But now I'm wondering, can you see the datum adjuster, like the input somewhere in the aircraft? It will be hard for people that don't have a Logitech panel to then know how high we're climbing. I guess you technically don't need it, but you would of course want to know what you're adjusting to if you want to use the vertical speed mode. We don't need the taxi lights, we can go off on those. We can let the people, there's no clouds in sight. I just realized I forgot once again to give them that for 220.
Flight level 220 Gulf 4003.
Now get up and move around the cabin. However, we ask that you use your seatbelt
Okay, so
fasten.
each spin is 100 feet, right? So you can, I guess you can calculate it based on that, right? And I'm just gonna put this up all the way because I can see it on my Logitech panel to 34,000. Takes a bit of time. I guess the logic with this datum switch actually was to like do minor corrections. You would climb and then do the minor correction. Standby yaw damper, I guess that could be on. What was it, 34,000 that was supposed to be our... I'm also gonna go about 300 knots so you can hasten things up. Okay, a bit more. We're almost at 34 with the datum, 32. 33. 34. There we go. We now have it set. Even though you can't see it, but I can. The vertical speed is supposed to be 2.1. We can do 2.4 for now. Seems that we still have some climb power. Looks pretty good. Can you see it from like the window? Nope, because there is no window. I wonder how... Oh. You can see there's not that much of the engine's actually, it's just the kind of front. And then... yeah. Luckily with the photoreal, it looks really nice to fly over here. Even though you can see there's some changes, right, from different places with different photoreal, it does work. Then the pilots and the flight engineers and the navigator is there. VC10. I think the Gulf Air one are bought from Nigeria, if I'm not mistaken. That's why they have this black and the colors here. I think that was the way.
Center on 128.5 Gulf 4003.
We'll do standard in those terms. I'm gonna have a look also and see how...
Center Gulf 4003 climbing to flight level 300.
How long we have left. We have about 27 nautical miles. Yeah, this one aligns with the Pilot to ADC one.
Squawk 320.
Ah, you seem to be able to open the window, but let's not do that since we're far above the pressurization. Talking about pressurization, do we have anything to do in that regard? Hydraulics, here we have pressurization, so look at this. Okay, so rotate, set barrow. Well, these doesn't seem to work. So that's a bit sad, so nothing with the pressurization. And nothing here either with the air conditioning. Yes, well, a lot of buttons that are not usable, it seems. What about the navigator one? He also has the weather radar without anything. What's this one? Loran. Probably for navigation purposes. Drift angular Doppler. Unfortunately, not a lot to do here. Air data recorder doesn't seem to work either. So I guess that's the only... what do you have up here? Asymmetry test. Panel lights. So yeah, very nicely modeled, but not too much things that are actually implemented in terms of systems, right? Switches not working and so on. They're still climbing quite nicely up to 34,000. We'll soon, when we're below 10, I'll tweak so that we're on our final kind of course, or whatever you want to call it. We're flying relatively quickly. I wonder what our Mach speed is. It's almost 7. This aircraft handles really well. I mean, the autopilot and stuff, there's not that many bugs. I mean, the only thing is, because I now remember why I didn't fly it that much, was because I didn't have the Logitech multi-panel, so I could never get the vertical speed to function. Like, it was just impossible. But now that I understand the logic of it, then it's much easier. And let's see. I'm wondering, because we're probably gonna be getting down that maximum speed soon, since we're climbing. In terms of feet, we can actually climb higher. That's the interesting for our climb faster. Let's do 3000 and see if we can still maintain that. Let's have a look a bit at our throttles. They are being pushed forward to maintain the speed as we climb faster. Yeah, 340, there we got
Climb
it.
to flight level 340 Gulf 4003.
Or actually 340, is this the datum? Let me have a look. Yeah, that's the datum. We found it. Awesome. Okay, so now this is really actually easy in that sense to fly, right? Because here's the altitude that we're selecting. That's really good to know. What's that? Some patch? Oh, it's just because of the photo reel changing. You can still see the autogem from up here. Interesting. Almost at 34,000. Now we're losing speed. So, taking that into account, let's decrease our vertical speed to 2000 to start off with. See if that will stop us from bleeding off too much speed.
Heavy, you're 905 miles east, turn right heading 250, descend and maintain flight level 280, expect vectors ILS, runway 26, approach.
And let me just remove the normal voice. I don't know why they still work. I really need to have a look at that. Don't want to hear the basic ones. Okay, we changed to 1500. Still haven't been able to stop the bleed. This is a fast aircraft though, so this will be a quick flight. According to the... Oh, talking about that, we probably went past the DME. The next one is 13113.35. And the course is, luckily it's not a big change of course, which is why we were able to not get totally screwed over by missing that. 197. Yeah, I do know I'm off course, unfortunately.
Heading 215 Gulf 4003.
And let's see if we can. Shouldn't we be turning to the right, or am I? Okay, let's see. We're now getting up to our speed, or not our yeah, up to our speed as well, but our altitude mainly. Okay, so shouldn't we now? Was it 11385? 85. Let's see if that helps. And I'm actually gonna change to heading mode, just to get us to actually fly towards. And I'll just tweak this one to 197. See if that, you know, it's always a bit hard, you know, maybe some of these have been decommissioned in the game, or you know, maybe they're like a VR at a lower altitude. Let's turn a bit more. I think we're a bit to the left, because we did fly a bit too far. What's the weather gonna be? Actually, let's have a look at that. Looks like there is some fog. We have good visibility, no clouds reported. There we can see we're doing some. It's not, doesn't look at all as good as in X-Plane with the what's the thing called now? God, the second time, forget about it. The contrails. That's the name of it. But it's, you know, it's quite beautiful down here. A bit like Grand Canyon-ish. I wonder what this water body is called though. Is this the... Let me have a look. Let me see. It's the... I'm just gonna use some map. It's the Dead Sea, that's the name. Oh, isn't that the one you can float on because there's such a high salt percentage or something? I think so. Oh look, we have a cloud. Another few clouds. But is that it? That's the amount of clouds we have. Or I guess we have some of the photoreal ones, but that could be from burning stuff. Okay, let's see, do we have a DME? No DME yet. Let's go back on 197 then. He'll probably ask us to descend soon. And we can then start maybe a slow descent down too. And talking about that, we need to plan for the approach. I'm just going to quickly look if there's anything good we need to know. GS auto, yeah, that makes sense. The glide slope, the autopilot. Is there anything about our speeds? 160 knots, 140 knots is kind of the landing speed, okay. Pitot heaters. Actually now, that's something I haven't even thought about. I haven't noticed any effects. It might be that they're not actually implemented, but these should have been turned on. Because otherwise we might lose the airspeed indication. Okay, but nothing else to see from the jetliner menu, so we'll just try to find the airport. What was it? 101 was the runway and ILS. You can have a look here. Around 3,300, 6,000. Minimum is 426, depending on, of course, the glide slope. Maybe we'll do 2.5.
Heading to 20 Gulf 4003.
516. Still no DME tracked, so that's a bit concerning. I don't want to turn too much, we'll do 200. And what was our descent clearance? We were cleared to descend to... Oh, squawk was 3204. How did I forget to set the squawk? 3204. 3204, and the squawk can be seen there. Oh, we can't move those switches either. A lot of, I guess a lot of these switches are movable in a professional version, so that's something to keep in mind. If you have, for example, Prepar3d version 4, you might want to get the professional. I'm assuming it has a bit less bugs than the version 5. This aircraft is a Prepar3d version 4 native one, right? So I assume the professional should work better, even though I've heard about similar issues in that one. Oh, brakes for the hydraulic pump. I guess those should be on. But yeah, in terms of our descent, 260. I'm gonna assume we get to descend quite a bit. Oh, look at that. We can change it here as well. I'm gonna assume we get the descent clearance to 6,700 ultimately at least, so might as well put 10,000 here now. We can descend with about 1,500. We're still 1,800 should be good. We have about 100 nautical miles. Well, that's not too much actually. Let's, to be safe, do 2,000. We can actually slow down to 275. At least we'll go to 0 with that one. We can actually see, I think the airport is around, so we have the water there. We should have started descending a lot sooner. Don't know why I was. We'll do 2500. I'll already put the speed to 240. And we'll do 2500. Let's hope we get there on time. I'll be right back. I'm just gonna go and check on a thing. I'm not gonna pause, but I'll just leave it on.
Descend to flight level 180 Gulf 4003.
Okay, there we go. So we are descending. We have about 73 nautical miles left. Maybe we can increase a bit, 2,800 feet per minute. Luckily we're not doing a straight-in approach. We would have needed to start descending quite a bit sooner for that. Let's see if we can get a nice picture. Maybe something like this could be cool. Descending quite steeply. Maybe like that. Something of that effect, yeah, for our banner. Gotta think about how we do our videos, right? How we make them look. You know, the the marketing aspect of things. Let me just double check that we haven't descended too far. 180. Let's just have a look if they tell us to not descend further than 180. 10,000. Yeah.
Altimeter is 2982, descend to 10,000
Talking about
feet,
that,
Gulf
I don't think we
4003.
checked our transition altitude. I'm not sure about the Irish airspace rules. Can't see anything about transition altitude, but I guess it's somewhere. Let's see also if we have any restrictions in our flight plan. No, nothing that I can see. Oh, sorry. Star Rex Skyforce. But yeah, look at the surroundings. This is one of the big reasons why I wanted to do this flight, because it's absolutely majestically looking down here. It's just wonderful. I guess this part of Israel, like kind of at the tip where you're joined with, I guess, is it Saudi Arabia, Jordania, and Egypt quite close. I guess this must feel quite a bit far away from the troubles of Palestine and stuff. Lebanon. But I do wonder if this has been historically at least a hotspot. Because I mean, if you cut off the Israel's access here to the sea, that could be quite detrimental, right? But yeah, who knows? Geopolitical things, not the easiest forte. Oh, let's see. We now have the DME. Well, look at that. Happy days. So maybe it's just because it was a altitude restricted one, right? There is some that doesn't go that high, right? So we'll go on that again, so we can get and we can actually start descending quite a bit less. We'll do 1,500. Yeah, we can resume navigation. And let's see if we're gonna drop the speed now enough. I'm very interested in seeing once we or when we are gonna get those. What are they called? The vectors. We're getting close to 10,000, so I'm just gonna do these landing lights, so I don't forget to do them. I'm not sure how they actually look, because I guess that's a landing light, and is these the other ones? I don't feel like I can see that much light, but oh well. Okay, it's still looking good. And there we can see the airport, which we won't be landing at, since we will be we will be landing at it, but we won't be landing at it from this direction. Okay, 3,900.
3,900 feet, Gulf 4003.
3,900. Weird descent. Yeah, let's put on the fasten seatbelt signs. This will be an interesting one. You have really both this one and Just Flight Comment, because the flaps are like 45 degrees flaps, so it really changes the characteristics of flying the plane. And what does this one show?
fasten your seatbelt.
Or is that even functioning? Who knows? Oh yeah, minimums 516. Where do you do the minimums on this little aircraft? Let me have a look. Maybe if we still have the. No, I didn't think I closed the manual. Felt sufficiently smart. Because this is speed. Right, so we can put that one, so at least we have our VREF. Well, it would be nice to be able to put some sort of minimums. Still looking good, the descent. I need to remember to put on the turn of lights as well. What is it, 240, that's good speed. Do we have anything here for our barrel ref? Doesn't look like it, unfortunately. How does this work? Can you like just open? You can open it like that. Oh, like that you can open it, okay. And then you close it. So that's pretty cool, pretty thought through mechanism. And we're really flying over the airport now. Oh, now we're getting the 185 on heading.
Heading 185 vectors to the ILS approach for runway 01 Gulf 4003.
And now we're getting the ILS. So 185, we should be turning right.
Heading 185 Gulf 4003.
Oh, sorry, I went to IAS, which is not what I wanted to change. I wanted to change the heading. Okay, whilst we do that, let me see. We'll do our localizer is 187. We'll put that in. 187 with a course of what degrees? 009. Okay, 009 seems fair.
Heading 180 Gulf 4003.
009. There we go. We have the course set. We can keep the heading. Should we get some DME? And actually, before we do that, let's just double check that this is actually the airport's ILS for runway 187. Yes, heading 11. So we should do actually heading 11 then, because that's the sim data, and the sim data is more correct. And sorry, this is the airport we are landing at. That's odd though. For some reason I did new exclusions for this one, but doesn't seem to have worked. You can see it's kind of bleeding through, so that's a default. I'll have to have a look at that and maybe add some new exclusions. Because basically now we have the default buildings, so we won't see the airport in itself in its finest. Let me have a look though. 240. Yes. Let's get back on that. I think I messed it up with changing the IAS. Let me have a look as well at Prepar3d. They seem to think we are following correctly 180. We don't want to do 240, I think. We want to do around 220. Should be sufficient. We can prepare the turn of lights. Here we have a real default airport. You can see the basing, and these buildings look very similar to the ones that were showing, right? Because the exclusions not really aligned with the but looks pretty nice down here. Looks okay enough, I would say. Freeware photoreal with autogen. Can't ask for more. Better than FSX default, right? And that I think is the important part. And like mountains just look better. Here maybe they look a bit too much picturesque, but the ones in the back, that looks pretty nice. Okay, and we can see we have the ILS now, so that's nice. Let's slow down even more. We don't have anything to lose on that 210. 3,900 it was what they requested us to be at in terms of altitude. Let's add one level of flaps. You can see that changes immediately characteristics. The aircraft starts pitching up. So that's pretty cool. You see our altitude increased. Now we have to throttle back a bit. Oh, look at that. We're going down again. Crazy vertical speed. Now pitching up. So the effects of these flaps are quite tremendous. Let's do 185. 2, 8, 2, 8. Descent to 3,300.
Fly heading 340, descend to 3,300 feet, cleared for ILS approach to runway 01 tower on 119.0 Gulf 4003.
What was it, 340 they requested us to head? Fly.
Gulf 4003 inbound for ILS approach runway 01.
Head to a heading. Now but to fly 340, yeah. So yeah, we're flying here, this is the Red Sea, right? Must be nice beaches down here, really nice, probably. I think we have the, I'm not sure where the borders actually go, but I'm assuming it's here, right? So we have Israel, then Egypt, and then Jordania, and then Saudi Arabia. Okay, let's go to 11. So let's continue our turn. You can see we've already turned too much, or turned too little. And we will actually shut the auto thrust, because I don't think you're supposed to land with auto thrust on. You could be wrong though. Okay, let's add a bit of thrust so we don't get caught with our pants down. Okay, let's see if we start ping-pong now. I feel like we turned a bit too much. We should be turning left now already. I'm gonna go one higher on the approach flaps. As you can see, we are turning, but it's a bit of a slow turn. I think the flaps are not helping actually in this case. You can see the glide slope being there and the localizer. And now we should actually be descending. We can see the runway there. At least the runway is looking good, so the exclusion is just the buildings, which will look a bit uglier than they should. I'll have to fix that. But yeah, there's the runway. In order to, well, let's get us stabilized. We're going a bit slow. We'll drop the landing gears, because that's why we're getting that beeping sound. That will also increase the drag, right? We're a bit high. I'm gonna go flaps full. Then I'm gonna take controls. Autopilot off. My controls. Okay, we're quite nicely almost on the lateral guidance. In terms of the vertical one, we're a bit high, which you can see here by this line being below. So we're getting there now. I'm gonna trim it out a bit also. Try to not descend too fast. I'm gonna pull back the throttles a bit. We wanna be at around 160 for the approach, and then 140 once we touch down. We have a crosswind from 109 if I'm not mistaken, right? So you can see we are actually turning into the wind a bit. And now we're a bit below the glide slope and a bit to the left. I think at least that's what no, 350, so it's actually straight on. So we're getting a headwind, which is good. Let's see. I would rather be a bit above with this one. It does seem to have the capability to get down rather quickly. So a bit above the glide slope. Sucks though that I didn't do my due diligence with the scenery. I usually do like a check, make sure I don't need to fix any exclusions and stuff, but I must have missed that for some reason. Probably I didn't see it at ground level. Okay, we're a bit above now with the glide slope again. The speed is okay, a bit below 160. We're getting the landing clearance because I forgot to say that we're established on final.
Clear to land runway 01 Gulf 4003.
Nice feature of Prepar3d. I wonder how it works in the real. I guess you could get the landing clearance even if you didn't say established. But let's see. Okay, still a bit above, slowing down a bit. Nothing crazy. You can see this huge fence or whatever you want to call it. I guess to protect the airport. Oh, let's see that we clear it so that we don't fall right on top of it. Okay, we're going a bit slow. Yeah, good. Good, good, good. Okay, now let's see. Okay, we're very close to hitting. I'm gonna push back the throttle slowly. Get us down. I feel like I hit that one with the nose first, or at least simultaneously. I'll activate the reversers. I think you only have those on number 1 and number 4 engine, the ones on the outside. There we did have an aircraft though. Yeah, there you can see that those buildings are the default ones. We're just gonna turn here. I didn't even use the spoilers. Can you arm those in any way? No, it doesn't seem like that.
The local time is 11:51. It is currently
But yeah,
about
a pretty good flight. I think the landing was
So now use your
a
mobile
bit
devices. Please remain
atrocious.
until the aircraft has come to a complete
Some of these
stop.
aircraft, you really need to fly them a lot in a short span. I'm hoping to some of my next videos to fly more in less instead of going through like all these kind of different aircrafts, to fly more the same. Gulf 4003 ready to taxi. Nah, but I think the idea with these videos have been to just, I still have a few left, right, to just show all these different aircrafts available for Prepar3d version 5 that people might not think of, and I didn't think of. It took me some research to do it, you know. Check if there was a VC10 available for Prepar3d version 5. Checking forums and stuff. This one, of course, is quite easy because you'll find it. But some of the freeware ones, you know, you don't find that unless you're stalking forums. I'm just gonna go and park here with the general kind of parking here, just so we can watch the replay and wrap it up. But yeah, now I'm hoping with some of my future videos to, you know, fly a bit more in depth, maybe try some different approaches with different aircraft, fly different airlines with the same aircraft, that sort of thing. So let's see. We'll just do this one here, V12A. I think there's a GSX. What's the V12 one? No, dot warp. No, follow me. So that's a cargo one. Okay, so then it would have wanted us to stop at that one. But we'll use the 12A1. Just to wrap things up sooner. We can go to 0 thrust. We went a bit too far, but sufficient. Okay, and I think the way you shut these engines is rather simple. It should just be one engine, 2 engines, 3 engines, 4 engines, and you'll see them shutting all of them. We can open the first door. We can go and check pilot to ADC, which I closed. No point having that. We have the deboarding and flight. 164. Okay landing rate. Some extreme flying conditions though. So wondering about that. Well, let's have a look at the replay of the landing and assess that a bit. 300 maybe is sufficient. So you can see first off, we're probably having, you know, we're doing a bit of, we're not like stabilized in the sense that we should just, you know, following the glide path. I'm doing a bit visually, and since I'm not too, haven't flown this one in a while, I don't really do it too well, but it's, you know, the approach is sufficiently good, I guess, you know, this shouldn't be an issue. But the landing will though be a bit worse. But let's hope we get that, we get the nose up in time to at least not just land on the nose. I mean, the risk is when you're doing like this to pitch down, to get down, is that you then don't have time to kind of flare, right? And the flare doesn't really matter because you have like a downwards motion. So it's too little too late, so to speak. God, those engines really do sound I'm not sure the replay is working too well. Okay, let's see. So we do get a bit up, so this is better. This should be sufficient, but then we pitch down a bit more. Now we need to flare quite a bit. We need to flare quite a bit, much more than we're doing now. So yeah, you see, kind of the same time, so not the best landing, unfortunately. But hey, any landing you walk away from is a good one in that sense, or in one sense or the other. But yeah, thank you for watching. A bit of a different aircraft this time, but hopefully enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, feel free to comment or reach out. I'll happily provide my Discord. If you have if you have some input or something, feel free to also provide a comment on that. But otherwise, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of the day. Bye bye.